All right. Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining. I know it's the Holy Weekend and everyone's been busy with family, hopefully enjoying celebrating this festival of colors if you do celebrate. But we wanted to incorporate this time to say, how do we embrace life's colors, right? So today will be a session of meditation and stories. You can keep your camera on, off, whatever's comfortable, get into a comfortable, just relax and be here and be receptive. That's the only ask of this session. So whatever is comfortable for you. And so I want to start off with this story, which actually triggered the idea for this session. Between Shubhra, Puneet, and I, we were talking about something, and this story came up, and that's how we got the idea for this session. So the story is about a general and the monk. You may have heard this story before. So there is this general who is known to be very, very cruel, and he is ripping through villages, sort of destroying the whole village and sort of killing everybody and doing that. So people are just fleeing wherever they say that he's coming, everyone flees. So they reach a village, and he says, okay, his subordinate comes and says, we're done here. But there's one monk in this monastery who hasn't fled because the rest of them have all fled. But there's this one monk who's just continues to stay there. So he gets very, very angry, and he goes to that monastery. He goes there and he sees this monk standing in the courtyard, and he just approaches him and he says, "Do you know who I am? I could just cut off your head right now, and I would not blink an eye." And the monk says, "Do you know who I am? I would let you cut off my head and I would not blink an eye." And this general realizes that he's in the presence of true greatness. And it's said that he changed his ways after that. He realizes what's important. Just that kind of response was something that he didn't expect, right? So it's very powerful story, and you also wonder what is it that monk had touched that he could say something like that, right? Like what is it? What is it? What is it that makes you say, "Okay, cut off my head and I won't blink an eye"? And so I'd love to hear from you if you want to put in the chat. What is that one quality that you think would sort of bring about someone to say something like this? I'll give you a minute. Anything that's coming to you about what quality or what is it that you need to touch to be able to say, cut off my head and I would not blink an eye. You could also unmute and say it. That's fine too. Yeah, Shikha says awareness of who am I. Yeah, good one. Anything else coming to anyone? Yeah, Shubhra is saying having full trust in the supreme power that everything that happens is just as it should. Yeah, true. Manisha says conviction after experiences of life. Yeah. Yeah. So I think one needs definitely awareness of who am I. That's a very good point because definitely he's somehow not concerned with his body, right? Like he's like, yeah, do whatever. And he stopped probably associating with himself as this person. And like Shubhra, you said, full trust in if this is the right thing, if this is happening, this is the right thing. And a true sense of detachment, I guess. Yeah, Bina, you're saying thy will be done, which is true. Like you're saying, yeah, if this is happening, then this is good, right? There's no opposition to what is happening at all. And a deep conviction probably of who he is beyond this body. Because that's what they're practicing constantly. And so I was wondering, how do we what is this play of attachment and detachment, right? Like, why do we get so attached? And letting go of your body and being able to say, cut off my head is one, it's like, let's say, a very high PhD level for most of us. But let's say even small things that happen in our lives that we are holding on too tightly and we're asked to let go, we do struggle, right? We don't just say yes. Like Manisha, like you're saying, come to it with acceptance. We do resist and we do suffer on account of that. So what is this play of attachment and detachment? There's this other story that shows this very beautifully, which has had a deep impact on me. Whenever I hear it, it kind of unhooks that idea of attachment to anything. So there's this man, he has a very beautiful house. It's called the Burning House. So he's got a very beautiful house in the whole neighborhood, and people have been asking him to sell it, and they're ready to give two times the price and so on. And but he's just not been willing to sell it. So he's gone out of town, he's come back, and he sees that his house is burning. Like it's up in flames, it's burning, it's beyond uh, you know, the ability for anybody to save it now. So he's just looking at it and he's like, he's completely in panic and worry, and he's completely losing it in one sense. He's in grief. He's like, oh my God, this house of mine is burning. And he's in complete distress, angry, everything, right? Like you could imagine. And then his first son comes and says, Dad, don't worry. Why are you so worried? Because, I sold it to this man yesterday, and he gave us a really good price. We got three times the price. And suddenly, this man's burden is completely lifted. His smile is back, and he's just looking at the house burning now. And without any sort of emotion attached, he's like, okay, this is not mine, right? Um, and so he's just looking on the burning and he continues to look at it with no emotion. And just then his second son comes in and he says, Father, what are you doing? Look, our house is burning, and the man we sold it to, we've just taken a token amount from him. It's not fully settled. And he might go back on this now that this house is burning. And now this man is back in the grip of worry and grief, and he starts to be like weeping, and he's like, oh my God, what's happened in my life, right? And he's now again in complete distress. And then his third son comes in and he says, Dad, don't worry. I just spoke to that man and just now, and he says, since I've given you my word, I'm going to stick to it. He's a man of his word, and he will go through with the sale, and it's all right. Again, this man heaves a sigh of relief and he says, oh my God, thank God. And, it's all okay now. And he continues to watch the house burn. So, what does this story show us, right? Like, it shows how, as soon as you're attached, there's so much of all this pain and suffering and everything come in. And as soon as he said, I'm not the owner, there was no suffering, right? Like, as soon as he says, I am the owner, there is suffering. As soon as he said, I'm not the owner, there's no suffering. And you can also see the play of stories here, the stories we tell. So, he said, depending on the story he was telling, his experience was shaped by that, right? Like it's so interesting to see sometimes, even for us, we say, an X event happened and we say, this person did this to me, or this person wanted this to be this way, this person is bad, and so this happened. If you're telling that kind of stories, it generates certain kinds of emotions in us, versus if you say, you give them the benefit of doubt, saying this happened but maybe there is a reason, right? And then there is a different emotion. Such a beautiful example, because just today in this session we started and Shubhra and I were like, okay, we started and it was just us, and we were like, oh, what could have happened? Why is it that it's just two of us today? And so we started telling stories, of course. So we said one story was, yeah, it's holy and it's weekend and maybe that's why people aren't showing up. And then there was, and Ravi came on and said, you know what, the time you didn't mention the India time, and maybe that's why people are not showing up. And each of these stories made us feel a certain emotion, and we could tell many million more stories. We had very few minutes, but if you gave us 1 hour, we would tell you 10,000 stories of why this is happening and what we should be doing about it. So it's so brilliant how our mind is so keen on making sense of things, and how what stories we tell is so important, and how it shapes our whole experience. And so that's a very good learning from this story. And of course, the attachment of like, what is it that we're attached to and what that causes, right? Like how when we're attached to something so strongly and it's and you have to let go of it, there is so much more resistance and there's so much more pain and suffering that happens. Um, yeah, and so now we'll get into a meditation, keeping these two stories in mind, and especially the burning house one. So you could close your eyes and just sort of settle in. Take a deep breath. Take a moment to settle. You can close your eyes or keep them open. Slowly start to notice your breath and also feel the support of the ground beneath you, solid and stable. So, in this meditation, we'll explore what it's like to become a silent witness. Like this man, when he was told, "This is not your house anymore," he could just watch the fire burn his house, burn that house. So, what is it like to be a silent witness to our life's events and observing life with clarity and without attachment? So, first, let's bring our attention to our breath and just notice what is your natural rhythm like. The gentle rise and fall, the coolness of your breath as you inhale, and the warmth as you exhale. Just notice your breath for a minute. Now, as you breathe, imagine that each breath is creating some space within you. A space from which you can simply watch without judgment, without reaction. And in this space, there's no need to fix or control anything. There is just presence. Now, gently scan through your body to see where it is you're holding on tightly. So, you could start at the top of your head and see if there's any tension or tightness. With each breath, allow for those areas to soften: your forehead, your jaw, your neck, your shoulders. Just see if you can relax. Our body is a great tool to see how we're holding on many times. If we just bring our awareness, our attention to it, we can see how we're holding on tightly sometimes. How we hold on tightly outside in some to events or people or situations. It also reflects in our body. It's a good way to sort of see where we're holding on in our body and kind of start to relax there. It also creates space to be able to let go mentally in your thoughts. So just notice if there's anything in your body, anywhere in your body you notice that there's tightness, and you can just relax. And as you continue, remember that you're solidly supported by Earth and you're grounded. And so you're solid, steady, grounded as we go through this practice. Now imagine that you're standing outside, just like this man, watching a house burn from a distance. The flames flicker and rise, the smoke curls into the sky. And now, this house represents something in your life that you are holding on very tightly to. It could be a challenge, a situation, a person, a worry, anything that as soon as I said this, it would have probably come to your mind. And if there's nothing, just see if something comes up, or if nothing, we're all definitely probably still attached to this person, personality, the body, the mind. You could just tune into that idea if there's nothing. But if there is, now by now it would have probably surfaced for you, and you can just see that this house is a representation of that particular challenge, worry, situation, person, persons. And just notice what emotions are coming up as you see this house, a representation of something that you are holding on very, very tightly to, is burning now. Maybe there's fear, sadness, frustration, or maybe you're okay and you feel calm and distant. Whatever appears, allow it to be. Like the man in the story, you may hear different voices. One voice wanting to cling tightly, hold on to what's happening, feeling overwhelmed. Another voice maybe is ready to let go, seeing the fire as just a part of life's unfolding. And so notice your mind move from attachment to detachment, or maybe back to attachment, from tension to ease to back to tension. Simply observe these shifts. You don't need to force the ease or force the tension. Just notice what state you are in. As you think of this house as a representation of anything that you hold on tightly to, and just see the various emotions that come up. And as you notice these shifts, try not to get pulled in. Notice if you're getting pulled in as well, and come back to presence. Now, as you stand there, noticing this fire burning the house, it slowly starts to fade and the smoke has cleared. And the house may be gone, but you're still here, steady, whole, and peaceful. Now, feel this calm awareness that you are still here, even if that house is gone, filling your heart. Let this calm awareness fill your heart. And come to this trust that no matter what life brings, gain or loss, joy or sorrow, you can meet it with presence and as a witness. That there is an option to not be pulled in, to not get sucked in to the stories, to the drama that the mind creates. Just the very knowledge, even if it is not accessible to you at all times, that there is a choice to choose to be a witness, that you don't have to get sucked in, is such a powerful realization, which is a powerful tool almost, or a weapon in our armor to have, because there's always that which you can go back to return to your center by saying, I am just a witness, right? Now you can take 3 deep breaths, anchoring in that sense of spaciousness within you. And slowly, over the next minute, you can bring your awareness back to the present moment. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. And may you carry this quiet witnessing within you, the ability to hold things lightly, hold life lightly, to meet its challenges with grace, and to remember that peace is available when you let go. So, this famous uh, Buddhist monk Ajahn Chah said, if you let go a little, there is little peace. If you let go a lot, there is a lot of peace. And if you let go completely, there is complete peace. So it's such a good quote to remember, that if there is no peace at any moment, you can just check what is it that you're to, holding on tightly to. All right.
That was really nice, Smitha.
Thank you.
Yeah, and a good reminder.
Yeah. It's a
I
yeah,
I
go
was
ahead.
realizing with the news as well, like with every, just like you were saying, different stories, different reactions. You read a different news every day, or many, and um, there's a reaction to every single news, right? In the body, like it expands, it contracts. If it relates to me, I feel a different way. If it's too far away, nowadays with the world, nothing is too far away. So you can see how every single news react. action is landing,
Yeah.
and choose to just realize maybe it's like a bigger picture of things. Like do your part, like that monk in the story you shared,
Yeah.
right? He didn't move because he stuck to whatever he believed
Yeah.
in, and he didn't move. Even if you cut my head off, I'm not moving. Like that kind of belief is obviously totally, it's a obviously you story, which is very powerful. But to just stick to, I was just amazed by that. I was just reading in I think Idaho or somewhere, there's this teacher who was told to take off, like recently, the poster which just says all are welcome, and it has all colors. Okay, then they say no, it's not appropriate poster now, and she has refused to do that. And now all over the US, teachers have like joined her, and the students have joined her. It's a simple poster. In
Mm.
10 weeks we have gone from inclusion, but this poster just has like all colored kids,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a elementary school.
Yeah.
So stories change, beliefs change, but if you stick to what you believe in, and now there's a lot of support to her because a lot of people believe in like
Yeah.
all kids are welcome. So
Yeah. No, it's just about, yeah, you have to keep seeing. One is, of course, come back to that witness, which is absolutely has no preference, right? Like, is the
yeah,
witness has no preference. And then also to say, okay, if I have to tell a story, can I tell a good story, right? Like you're saying, everyone came together. Maybe they wouldn't have otherwise, right?
yeah.
And there's sometimes this adversity is what brings us together, makes us closer, makes us realize what we truly believe in, what we want to stand up for, and things like that. So then you say, yeah, maybe there is a better reason for all of this playing out. So whatever it is, right? Like not to
And
uh,
also what you are teaching, they have been teaching that everybody is welcome here, and suddenly they're just one drop in the pond saying, hey, that's not a good message. And then every teacher says, no, no, that's not a good message. Let's not teach. So there's so much power in teachings.
yeah,
So
true.
much power in teaching, and to if you some teaching has resonated, to go back to it and believe in that power and stick to it.
Yeah. No, that's always true, right? Like we just sort of align and orient towards whatever it is our heart sort of is drawn to is so powerful for me, has always been. Even in this path of practice or whatever it is, like you go towards the teachings that resonate and you check what the teachings that don't resonate. Of course, you don't need to
Yeah.
completely dismiss immediately, but definitely spend a lot of time in things that your heart calls you to, right? That's been powerful for me for sure.
Yeah. And I think whether it is right or not, you will know if you notice, as you were saying, the sensations in your body,
Yeah,
right? You
yeah,
observe your breath. If your mind is not telling you, your body will.
they will tell you.
Like you will be able to feel that what is right feels right in the heart, right in the gut.
Yeah,
And what doesn't resonate will create anxiety and
yeah.
palpitations or God knows what all. But
Yeah, you can notice your breath gets shorter, you're contracted, or you feel expansive, like, wow, this is where I can truly, this
yeah.
feels relaxing or open, or things like that, which you can immediately notice in your body as well. So it's a good way to tune in for sure.
And the moment, like your story of the house is burning and the house is not mine. So I am a visitor on this planet. I don't have a permanent house here. So whatever I've learned, so as long as I live true to myself. And the truth might change based on my, you
Belief
know,
systems and everything, yeah.
yeah, like
A bit,
consciousness can
yeah,
keep on changing, and I may know more things, and it may get refined, it may get more pure, but wherever I am, I live true to that thing.
yeah,
So that's the main um I think takeaway from both of your stories
yeah.
for me would be. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bina has raised her hand.
Bina is saying something.
No matter how much I rehearse, no matter how much I observe, no matter where I see which sensation, what has to happen only happens.
Can you
Try it for
elaborate on it?
yourself also. No, no matter how much I rehearse, I tell myself this is how I should be, the practices we do, but you never know what you're going to blurt out at that moment.
Yes. So you
Something,
trust, right?
uh,
Yeah.
I, I mean, in theory, it all works so beautifully, but the practices with Nitya says the practice takes over. Even that takes over, whether it's good or bad.
Mm. So What I understand is you just trust, right? You trust that even that reaction
You just
and everything is okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's better to take it as okay, because if you resist, it's only going to mess things up further for you.
Yeah. It's a great point, Bina, and I was going to come to this the next because, like we said, we visited the one wing of wisdom. Wisdom says, be a witness, right? Wisdom says, just stay there and notice what's happening and inquire into who you are, what's your true nature, and what's the other wing, right? Like there's one wing of wisdom, the other wing is compassion. So we've spent so a lot of time now looking at wisdom. So what does compassion say, right? Um, and of course, like we said, it's about moving from attachment to detachment. And it's also true that the wisdom is what liberates us. And so we keep orienting ourselves towards that. But what about this in between? Like Bina, you're saying, in my day to day I don't see that, right? In my day to day I'm still attached, I have my human responses, my reactions, all of that. So that's where the wing of compassion comes in, which sees that our pain is coming from this ignorance for sure, but it's also very real in this moment, right? Like we feel the pain, we feel our pain, we feel others pain, we see that there is suffering, um even if it's due to this ignorance or attachment. That's the truth of the moment, right? Like that I'm attached, I react, I have all these range of emotions, we do suffer. And so, and each of us only knows very, very well how that feels, right? We've all, in this human experience, we are very aware of how that feels, how it feels to feel the pain of our own attachments, to suffer. And so, and like you're saying, it's not just about, yeah, I just decide today that I'll switch it off and become the witness. It's not that. We continue to practice, we continue to orient towards that truth, but we also stay kind. We stay kind to ourselves and to others who are part of this journey with us, because we don't dodge the feelings of guilt or anger or shame or anything that stems from these attachments, right? We just feel it. like like the teachers have said, fully feeling is very healing. You just feel it because feelings want to be felt, and this is part of this human experience for whatever reason. And so you just feel it and you stay kind to yourself, and you say, yes, this is the glorious and messy human existence, and we embrace that as well. So that's where the wing of compassion says, can we stay kind through this, even though we are aware that our true nature is one of a witness, that we have an option to take that. And most times maybe we can't right now for whatever reason, maybe I can't. And you say, okay, and you say, let it come, let the guilt be here, let the shame be here, let the pain, the grief, whatever it is, anger, let it all be here. And as you give it space, as you don't resist even that, actually, that it takes its time and it sort of moves, right? So you just allow it. It's about allowing even this to be here. And basically that's where I said about the spaciousness, because the witness is not blocking any of this, blocking any feeling, any reaction. You allow for it. And as much as we can allow, things move and shift, and everything sort of moves as it should. And we don't question it because we don't know why this whole drama is happening. What is the details of this? We are not the ones who put this all into place. In that sense, we don't know the whole design. And so we trust, and we stay kind. I think that's been my big learning through any of these moments where you feel, I've been doing all this, but again I've said this rude thing, again I've gotten trapped into this, again I'm angry. And so you stay kind. We say, okay, can I be kind to myself to start with? And then as you're kind to yourself, I've noticed that's when your ability to be kind to others opens up, and you stay kind to them, because even if you feel in this situation I wouldn't have reacted, you say, okay, but there are other situations where I react, and so can I be kind to these other people with me in this situation that they can't do it, right? Like they're not able to do better, be better. And so can I be kind to them? And that's where compassion is such a beautiful wing that balances this wisdom. It's not about hey, everyone, become a witness now, and that's it, right? It's about, yes, there's a journey to that probably, or we're able to do that sometimes and not. And so how do we now bring the compassion and we stay kind as this happens, right? And that's where that beautiful balance happens. And that's how we can embrace everything that life brings, right? Um, yeah. And then there's beauty in that, and there is peace within that. There's peace within whatever is happening when we're able to do that, when we're able to just witness when we can, and then completely see the pain of our own pain, others pain in this human existence, and you come with kindness. um, there is an opening of the heart, there is a shift, there is something that happens, and in every moment, bit by bit, right? Can I be 1% kinder, 1% kinder to myself? For not even start with others, just say, can I be 1% kinder to myself, my own flaws, my own reactions? um, yeah, and so these two wings come together, and there's full freedom, because there is no demand to be like the monk. There's no demand to be like the monk immediately or ever. Let's just say we stay kind forever, and we say this is what we'll be like. We'll be a mixture of reactions and all of these various emotions, and there is maybe some wisdom. There is that witness consciousness always present, even through this. So that's the beauty of it. And yeah, I wish full freedom for each of us here, and full freedom for all sentient beings in any of the realms. And so it is. And so it is. And so it is. I would love to read a poem, and then we'll get into a little more interaction. This poem also I found last week as we were talking about this whole balance of wisdom and compassion and how we can do it, right? So this is from Nitya. Oh, this is okay. I'm not sure. I don't know if you can see. Okay, it's the book
It's from
Unburdened.
Unburdened, but we
Yeah.
can't
The
it's okay.
background is blocking me from showing it. It's from Unburden, and the poem is by Nandini Sen Mehra, who wrote this book with Nitya Shanti. So I just happened to open this page the other day, and it was such a beautiful poem, just talking about this exact thing. So I'll just read it, and then we'll have some interaction. So the poem is titled Be Here Now. Strength is not an abstraction, it calls for presence, for waking up each day, each moment to what is, a gathering of the available to play with a dealt hand, a letting go of what isn't. Face the mirror, do the work. Shoes, keys, food, the now. Only the now. Owed nothing to stay kind, owed nothing to show up. And allow for grief, for rage, allow for the keening, the breaking apart, the buckled knees, the hands that cover a flushed, wet face. Allow for lost, for not knowing, for help. Not to be strong or be anything that is not the truth. Only to allow in time a return to self, to center. And as true as the falling of the leaves, the first flush of spring, the rise and the ebb of the tides, as true as all that is born and dies, to know all will pass, all is love. All right. Does anybody want to say anything?
Yeah, Bina says in chat that Tonglen and Ho'oponopono are her go-to practices, which is both very powerful.
Very powerful. So Ho'oponopono is so good because there's that element of forgiveness and allowing again, like to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and gratitude to say and thank you and love you, right? To ourselves, you can even start with ourselves. I feel like that's the first place to start. Like everything stems from there. Like what you can do to yourself is what you'll do to others. So Manisha is saying, like, I consciously say the body is tired. Never am I tired. The head is paining. I never say my head is paining. Yeah, that's true. That's a good way to practice the wisdom element, right? To say, stop. Sort of, we condition ourselves by saying these statements, and it's very hard to operate in the world in general. But at least the self talk we do with ourselves, we should definitely see how we are sort of saying things that play into feeding this attachment or getting us detached, right? Yeah. And Tonglen is another wonderful wisdom to help you get into that wisdom side, because you say you're taking in, for those who are not familiar, Tonglen is this practice where you say, I, if you're saying somebody is in pain, you can say, I breathe in that pain and I breathe out relief for them, right? I breathe in the pain and I breathe out relief. And it can be scary because you're saying, oh, am I taking on that, right? But the way to look at it is to say, I am taking it in, and it, you're almost, firstly, can you be brave enough to take it in, like that monk who said, let it come, like what's going to happen, right? But even if you're not able to get to that level, you can say, okay, you're taking it and you're transmuting it and you're sort of sending it back, right? So you deem yourself that powerful to say, okay, I'm not taking in the pain and it'll just not come to me. I'm going to transmute it and it's going to go out as relief. So yeah, it's a beautiful practice.
Yeah, like a channel. Devya says, like being a channel
Yeah.
or a healer, right? And Pratisha says, just being present is the practice of a lifetime. That's so true. I was just, when you were talking about compassion, I was just thinking the same thing, that you just come back to it. Just like in India, we were like studying and we have all these chapters and small tests, and then the final exam is all the chapters together. So you go back and read, and you've forgotten all of them, but
Yeah.
you revise, then you come back to it. So you keep, but the realization that you can practice that pause, that you can realize. Otherwise, we can just go on having one kind of behavior, right? Or they say, right? You can have 90 years of life, but each could be just copy paste of the same year, or it could be a growth.
Yeah.
And learning, or even anything in here, I think nothing is linear,
Mm.
right? And even in art, because if you make it very linear, it's no fun. It's not interesting enough. So there are always these ups and downs and modulations and pausing and going up, going down, pausing. So that's so true. I think nature, walking out in nature is very healing, because that just shows us it that way.
Yeah.
There is no perfection. Like, I remember the story of, I think, Ramakrishna Paramhans. Somebody asked him, oh, the two colored flowers cannot be on the same thing. And then he said, yeah, they can be nature, anything is possible. And then the person who asked, I think, actually walked out of in the garden someday and he was able to spot it.
Wow.
Because that can happen. And some plants, like we have these plants in the summer, like same plant has many different flowers,
Yeah.
which is amazing, right? So yeah, so it can be anything, being open, being present, and pausing, and being kind. I think the most important thing. Yeah.
That's my go-to practice these days, because you cannot, even though you know all this, your humanity is still there, right? Like no matter what, like, and so you, unless you stay kind, you cannot. You're like, if you beat yourself up saying, I have to be the witness, I'm not able to be the witness, or whatever it is, it's
Yeah,
not
it's
going
a
to
work.
happen. Now you're blocking it by not allowing for what is there actually, which is
Yeah.
maybe sadness in that moment, maybe there's anger, and so you allow it, right? Like, and so you have to be kind, because you're like, if you're saying, oh, I'm supposed to be this way but I'm not, you can be like kind to yourself, saying, yeah, maybe that's the goal, but right now I'm here, right?
So with the new, like, we can see that with all these reels and other stuff, it should be easier for us to be a witness because a lot is happening, and the moment you switch to another reel, you've forgotten about what happened first, right? Because you are the same person just watching. There could be a benefit from this social media or other scrolling also, because you can pause and see, hey, so once your phone is not charged, none of that exists.
Yeah.
And your phone is charged and you're on it, then only it affects you moment you close it. So nowadays, if I'll get angry, and if you want to be kind and say, I'm noticing that that anger came,
Yeah.
like Manisha, I think I totally agree. She's saying my head is paining. She doesn't say that, right? My head is paining. Like you just identify with that part, like the headache came, like, an anger came,
Yeah.
whatever came. So just noticing it.
I don't say my head is spinning because
Hmm.
then, I'm not owning it.
Not
Yeah.
only
It's the head, yeah.
Is there. Yeah. True.
it.
Is there, it's the head is spinning, the body is tired. I'm not tired.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
I
powerful.
I'm
think.
full of energy.
That's a very powerful practice right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That keeps me going. That really keeps me going. And it works for me. So practice.
Hmm.
Yeah, in terms of emotions, I was just saying that nowadays if I get, and then as a mom, there's so many moments of always judging. Did I right or did I do wrong? Should I tell?
Mm,
Should I, hold on? And every time I just be kind to myself and notice, like, in this moment I have
exactly.
had anger. It's
Yeah.
okay. And then immediately the pause diffuses actually whatever it is. The
Yeah.
pause
The pause
always,
is very important.
Yeah.
yeah.
I've also made this
Very, very.
practice now to even tell my kid, right? Like, I'm sorry. I got angry back there, right? Like, I'm sorry. Once I've calmed down, obviously. Like, I'm sorry I reacted that way. That wasn't the most, best response, but that is all I could do in that moment. So, yeah, it kind of gives me also that space of like, yeah, I don't have to be this perfect person. Just because it's your kid doesn't mean, just because you're a mom doesn't make you some kind of perfection
No,
embodiment.
Exactly.
I think on the contrary, you are doing a powerful thing by allowing them to also feel the same way, that they can also
Yeah.
get angry and
Express.
realize
Yeah.
and change
And
or whatever.
apologize or
It's
whatever it is.
human.
Yeah,
It's
true.
human.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
true. And
no
yeah,
burden,
yeah,
right? To
no
ju-
burden.
to always be a certain way. Yeah.
True. And just, yeah, just this is a process of unburdening in that sense. Like whatever you're holding on to in all these ways, like can you just let go and allow?
Yeah.
So much deeper than just saying allow for the good or allow only good thoughts or allow only this. It's like allow everything. Like, right.
Yeah. Because even the children need to express because otherwise, if they stay bottled up, also not good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
totally.
Um,
Totally.
and
I
Pratik
think
was saying being present is the practice of a lifetime, right? So this whole our whole Bzen is structured around that because we realize it has so much and you can do it's a lifetime of practice that you can come to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
There's so many million ways that you can come to it as well. So yeah,
And each time we are taking on a different role as a mother, as a sister, as a daughter, as a never ending.
yeah.
yeah.
Anyone else wants to share anything?
I was outside actually. I missed most of the
Meditation.
meditation.
Yeah.
But I was there for part of the discussion. And, I was thinking of uh, this. I think it's a recent session of Nitya's where he's talking about uh, that he has that some people who are so sure of themselves or so confident, and we consider that as such a good thing, right? That these like and it really connected with me because that's what I always used to think, that some people are so sure of themselves, they are very uh, you know uh, they know what they want, right? And they know like they're very clear on this is the answer, this is the right thing. And I'm not like that, most of the time. And he was like that those are the people then that become so uh, that they are very hard for them to see other point of view, very hard for them to look at the other side. And how being in that state of not knowing, mine, that which Ajahn Chah used to say, that not knowing, being uncertain and being fine with being uncertain, that is a way much better
Yeah.
uh, response rather than being extremely confident, extremely sure that no, I know the answer, I know this is how it is and this is how it should be.
Yeah.
And I found that so powerful because it was something that I don't know. I felt like I needed to hear that maybe in that moment. Because so often we judge ourselves for being like, I'm not confident, I'm not sure. So
Yeah.
like we were saying, like you were talking about how different teachings come to us at different times and they connect, and then they actually help you release something, that little one thing that you're stuck with, that it's very freeing, that one thing, one layer,
Yeah.
uh, it helps you to let go of.
Yeah, and it's such a good
Right?
way to check for the teaching. Like Shibra was also saying, right? Like you check
Mm-hmm.
in your body. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
it feels like I let this, hearing this, it sort of, it sort of eased me, right? But sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's also true that, okay, this brought some resistance in me. And then you say, okay, what is this resistance, right? You get curious of like, what is this resistance? Sometimes there is some thing to work on even there, right? Like there is something that it can reveal about our own selves, even in things that sort of we immediately say, I don't like this, right? I don't like this person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the way they operate. Like, and then you're like, what is it in me that is responding in this way? I found that a very great, sometimes rich insights come out of that as well about yourself. Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I have some fear, something around this, and that's why this is triggering me, right? But yeah, in
Mm-hmm.
other times there's also this where it's like, oh, this felt like truly relaxing. And so you hold on to that. You sort of practice that teaching as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful path, right? Like Nitya says, it's like sunlit path. It's like it's beautiful in the beginning, beautiful in the middle, beautiful in the end. Because you're constantly, I've felt this, like once you've sort of oriented yourself towards this, there's a lot of support, there's a lot of guidance that comes in through many ways, that you truly feel supported. Even in moments if you feel lost in a bit, there's some support that comes in, and you see that being lost moments were also so important, because that's so rich. Like I said, like when you're feeling bad, you kind of dig into, okay, what is this, right? Like, why am I feeling this way? And you kind of find different insights, and then of course there's more support that comes in immediately. That's what I've seen. So it's great overall.
The whole point of
I,
coming together is that because everybody just sharing one line in the chat itself, because everybody it's like a community where it's not we are, you know, we are maybe just bringing one thing, but it's beautiful because everybody shares these one insights, and it's like the whole practice, the power of being together on this path.
Yeah.
Because one of us
yeah.
will be brave one day, one of us will be, lost one day, and then together we know that there is this place this you go to, and all your feelings are valid, emotions are valid. If you are feeling overwhelmed, it's valid. If you're feeling very powerful with the teachings and detached, that's also valid. Like, so there is nothing wrong. So
Yeah, I must share something. You know what? I just had a realization a few days ago while journaling after I came back from Bali. The same time last year, this same time I was diagnosed, right? And my whole world fell apart. I had to cancel all my bookings. I had booked trips for India and wherever, and my whole like I didn't know whether I was coming or going, and my treatment started and things like that. I was absolutely, but anyways, I came into acceptance. And this year, same time, can you believe it? I had the most amazing holiday. I used those same because the airlines did not return, give me a refund. They gave me travel vouchers. I used those travel vouchers to book my tickets. I had the most amazing, and that too with my son and my husband and my close friends. And I was telling God, oh my God, last year, this time I was like totally broken. And this time, 1 year later, I am in high spirits. I'm so appreciative that you had something, it's so divinely, such a good holiday and such, like cherishing moments for me planned. So, like my faith became stronger that we must learn to embrace challenge and because there's something better in store for us.
Yeah. What a
Divine plans are always
powerful, real story from your own life to like,
Divine plans are
yeah,
so much more magnificent than our plans.
it's true.
It is so, I was so like delighted. I said, of course, I'm happy I didn't go earlier, whatever happened, but the kind of time I had now with the most loving people and all, I'll cherish it all my life.
Hmm. Beautiful. Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing, Manisha.
thanks.
And Manisha, what's powerful is you just said that. You said you came into acceptance. You could have thought, oh my God, this is the end of it for me. I've been
No,
diving with,
I've
and
just
I'm done.
realized, yeah, Shubhra, I realized now whenever a challenge comes, I say, this is just a bend. It's not the end.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So
Saying
I've learned to
and living
embrace
it.
my challenge. I've
Yeah.
learned to embrace my challenges because I feel there's something better in store.
Manisha, that is super powerful. I always say Manisha always inspires me. This is because
Definitely.
we're living it
She's living, she's
Yeah,
every
I'm
living.
day,
living it. Yeah.
and she journals every day, and I feel like that's so powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with journaling, there's so much of realization
Yeah.
when you reflect and introspect in silence, and you're in the moment and you're doing it with your complete feelings. So I feel very empowered when I do all this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manisha.
Right. Does anyone
No,
else?
that's why I love joining your session, so I can, it's very healing for me.
Thank you,
It's
Manisha.
very
I
healing.
mean, you've
It's
traveled and
very
come
healing.
back and you joined today, and it's like so. Yeah, we really appreciate, and like it's heartwarming for us
Yeah.
to see how you like make this effort to sort of be with us.
And
No.
I have
Yeah.
to say, Manisha is so accountable, so she couldn't join the birthday celebration session because she was traveling and all that. And she sends me a message like being accountable, say, "Hey, I'm not here. I would like to be there," and then I'm thinking about it. So I feel that's so wonderful to hear always.
No, I really enjoy these sessions because not only that, there's always some take. You take back something. Plus, I also feel very healed. Like today, when I joined, I was a little down. I haven't come on camera because my son has gone back. A lot of mixed feelings and feeling overwhelmed and emotional. But I'm glad I joined this because it's making me feel so much better.
Yeah. No, and that's why, this whole thing about detachment, it's true that we're detached, that we orient towards detachment, but it feels like sometimes you imagine detachment looks very dry, right? Like where you're just like sitting there, if your son leaves, you're just going to make a straight face. That's not true. You're fully invested. Maybe you'll even hug and
Yeah,
cry and be like, maybe you'll cry for 10 minutes, right? But then, of course, then you return
yeah,
to the center. That's all it means that you come back and then you come back saying, yeah,
yeah,
it's okay, I'm here and this is right. And that's it. It doesn't mean that you're just going to become a stone or something, right? So sometimes we
exactly.
mistake that, and that's where this whole blocking of anything that we think that we start calling negative, where you're like crying, that's negative, or like, we
No,
allow
because
all
I
the
feel when you're negative also and you start feeling insecure about him going back, then actually I'm sending negative energies to him.
yeah,
So
true.
I must feel happy, keep sending good vibes to him instead of feeling, oh, is he going to be okay? Is he going to be da 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 da? I don't want to send anything negative.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and so it
Same.
helps you
Yeah.
question, right? Like when you get into those states, it kind of makes you question, okay, what's happening, right?
Yeah,
So it's so helpful to
exactly.
just like, what is that beautiful thing I saw? Oh yeah, stress is a like a an alerting system to say something you're thinking is not correct, right? The story you're telling is off. Basically, if you're stressed, you're anxious, you check, oh, I must be telling some story that's not
Yes.
not right, right? And so it's such a so it's like it's an alerting system. So when you treat it like that, you're not going to hate it. You're going to be like, yeah, okay, it's there for a reason.
You've seen that frequency chart, right? With
Yeah,
different colors.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I keep it in front of me and I say, I always want to be above 300. I don't want to, the minute I dip, I say something is wrong. I have to bring myself back.
Powerful. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool.
yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Manisha.
Yeah, I'll send you the chart. It's right, always in front of me. I say,
Yeah.
Manisha, you have to stay above 300.
Do share in the interactive group. I think your all of
Yeah,
you
I
can
will. I
like
will.
just lift up and inspire.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I will do that. I will do that. So, at least we keep looking at the chart and then we know that we are dipping or we are okay and we are fine.
yeah.
Like
Return.
a
That's all that
thermometer.
we just keep
Yeah.
returning to what is
Yeah.
good. That's all we.
Yeah, correct. Correct. Correct.
All right.
All
I think
right.
Pratiksha says sometimes it feels like a burden to be present all the time. So have to let yourself be or let yourself want to control stuff, etc. till you're okay being present again. Yeah, that's where
It's
the
okay
kindness
not to
comes
be
in.
okay. It's
Yeah,
okay not to be okay sometimes.
yeah. And
Yeah.
be kind to yourself first. 1%,
Yeah,
let's be kind, 1% kinder to ourselves today.
Yeah, I know.
1% also goes a long way,
Yep.
that's true.
right? Thank you, Pratiksha. That was well said.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone. I am feeling
Oh, yes, feeling
much
complete.
lighter.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day and week.
Yeah, thank
The
you.
next.
Thank you.
Hope to see you next week. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, bye, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
See you next
Smita.
Sunday.
Thank you,
Thank you
Smita.
so much. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.